Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Wellbrock, the CEO and founder of Leading Women Entrepreneurs. And we have such a special interview today with Helen Archontou, who is the current CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. And this is a live interview. So thank you, Helen, for coming onto the platform, and congratulations on being named a top 25 leading women of 2020. Let's start with telling our viewers a little bit about the YWCA of Northern New Jersey and your personal mission there.
Sure. Well, let me start first of all by saying thank you so much for this honor. It's so lovely to be recognized, but especially in the esteemed, when you look back at all the women that have been honored as well, it's such an esteemed group. So thank you very much for putting me in the category with all of them. And
absolutely, well deserved.
And so with that, so the YWCA of Northern New Jersey's mission is to eliminate racism and empower women. And I can't imagine a time in our country that, either of these things aren't more important. We focus on making our mission come to life through programs that are designed to empower women and girls with the tools that they need to grow and add to their paths for success in work and with life. We advocate for the equality of all people, regardless of their age, their gender, their ethnicity, race, religion, income level, sexuality, sexual orientation, disability. We support survivors of sexual violence and work to raise awareness around this issue through our Healing Space program. And we have other programs that also roll into this that are focused on enhancing health and well-being and self-confidence for individuals in our communities of all ages and abilities. And we are one of the top childcare providers in our Bergen County service, part of our service area in Bergen County, where we work to create affordable childcare that also is high quality and can give parents peace of mind while they have to focus on the important work that they're doing.
I mean, that is a very large and empowering mission all around. So I applaud you on all of the work that you do. I think that this could be a series of interviews because there is so many different verticals and so many different populations that you're protecting and you're trying to empower. So we're just, again, thrilled to have you. So talk to me a little bit about what shifted, especially around your sexual assault programs and your Healing Space programs during COVID, because I can't imagine how challenging it must have been for you in this environment.
Well, look, COVID has created a lot of challenges for our organization and really for everybody, for sure. I would say for our sexual violence program, which of all of our services is really one of the essential services that exists for the state of New Jersey. We are the state designated sexual violence program and specialists for Bergen County. And we literally overnight had to become a remote operation. And we have so many individuals in our community that really count on us as a lifeline on a daily basis to be able to get them through the trauma that they've experienced through sexual violence. So we had to act fast, act swiftly, and make sure that it was going to work. And I really have to do a shout out to our entire team that pulled together and helped make that happen. We did leave the office on March 16th in the evening and kicked up by March 17th in the morning, totally uninterrupted services, 24/7 hotline for crisis intervention for anyone who needed support for wanting to report or wanting to share about sexual violence experience. All of the counseling services that were face-to-face up until that moment, the next day went to a HIPAA compliant virtual platform that all of our clinicians had to suddenly figure out how to do their services online as opposed to sitting face-to-face with their clients and working them through their trauma. In addition to that, our prevention education team that was working with all of the schools, colleges, high schools in our community, and all of our community organizations also overnight went and created a virtual platform to be able to still educate people on prevention and sexual abuse, on issues like all the issues that they go out in the community and do. They had to make that all become online. And with all of that, we also added really essential job-seeking vocational support programs and creative art therapy programs in the midst of this time, which was unbelievable to add this piece. And both of them ended up flourishing and really being embraced and needed because people's trauma escalated as a result, obviously, of COVID. It was very triggering for survivors. And in addition to that, many of them were displaced from their jobs, so that they needed that extra support. So I have to say, not only did our sexual violence team step up, but they expanded their reach and did an amazing job and still is operating in the same way. Some of our other programs, because they were school-based, because they involved a lot of face-to-face contact, those ended up hitting pause. As an organization, obviously, it was challenging. We're a nonprofit. We survive on donations and events like our gala, which was scheduled in the midst of all this. That all had to hit pause. But we really did kick in an opportunity of continuing to stay engaged with our community by launching a platform of YWTV. And that ended up being really instrumental also in supporting our sexual assault survivors, because through that effort, we were able to bring attention to some of these new initiatives that I just shared and get the information to survivors so that they could sign up and benefit from them. So true team effort, everybody rallied, and I'm very grateful for our team. I always knew I had a good team, but it's definitely times like this that you really see them shine.
Right. It's amazing sometimes when you're in the middle of a crisis, what that brings out in terms of true team spirit and innovation and ideas that no one would ever thought of had there not been a problem at this level. And so I'm so happy for you, because it seems as if there was a little bit of a silver lining for you to showcase your organization and still continue to be able to give the services that so many people needed and still continue to need, and so many services that impact the community at large. So I want to move on to how you actually live up to your mission of social justice and racial equality. I mean, it's a huge conversation that's come to the forefront of everyone. And I know you're there, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, obviously, working to eliminate racism is our daily work. We do it every day in every way in how we operate on our programming, and it's integrated and in the other work that we do as well. It's not like we have silos of these two missions. Everything is connected. What I think was really interesting, obviously, we know racism exists. Racism existed before COVID, and unfortunately, I don't think we're resolving it at this particular moment. But COVID alone put such a focus and a spotlight, for our country on racism. We started to see through just the way that, who is operating and who are the essential workers that really were, many of them that were keeping our country going were workers that were in low paid jobs. And if you looked at who, made up these, work bases, that they were, individuals that were Black, individuals that were people of color, and that if we look at the pay rate that these individuals were getting, and yet they were keeping us going every day. So the rest of us that were able to, stay home safely, it was happening because of them. It really put a spotlight on something. So take that and then also add to the lens of what we started to really see and understand, I think, about, some of the racism that we were seeing in front of us, the murder of George Floyd. Now that spotlight, went tenfold into, blaring floodlights everywhere on kind of the racial, the core systemic racism that we have in this country. All I can say as an organization is, again, because we do this work every day, and part of doing this work is showing up and being there and having these relationships, and not just in times of crisis, but being there and standing with our Black community and with our communities of color, every day, that when something like this happens, and, we as an organization, myself as a leader, myself as a white woman, obviously, picked up the phone, spoke to Black leaders in our community and said, obviously we're here. What can we help? How can we stand with you, and stand with you in this very strange time when people were not coming together and being together? And, but still wanting to provide support. And although many people were able to mobilize and come together and be part of protests around the country that were happening, there were many people that still wanted to be part of that process, but didn't feel safe for various issues to come out and be part of those protests. So our organization and, myself as the leader, made sure that we were connected again to our Black community, listening to what the needs were, and put together a series of virtual experiences, virtual education opportunities, virtual discussions that again, took our work that we were doing every day and amplified it during this time to make sure that there was a focus on the areas of the discussion that were important. And so we made sure that people were talking about issues like, how are we raising anti-racist children? Making sure that we are connecting with our communities of color and creating opportunities to bring attention to, for us, especially Black women in our community and the work that they're doing, which right now we're in the midst at the YW of a Share the Mic campaign that we are offering space weekly to Black women in our community so that they can talk about the issues that are important to them, and making sure that they become mainstream and become, the concerns of Black women become the concerns of everyone, to understand what Black women have to go through and their life experience. We made sure that we created an opportunity to specifically highlight what parenting a Black son is like in today's world. It is a different experience than for me parenting my white son, and it's important, very important, that our community starts to get educated, understand these things. We also made sure that we created an opportunity for education on white allyship, and what someone like myself as a white woman, and also as a leader in the community, how I could stand up, and what are the ways that I can do it, and how I can get other people, other white people in our community, to get past the black box on their social media post and an occasional sharing of something else that's happening, but really how you take it to those next levels. And the journey that, all of us as white people really need to go on to understand our privilege and understand the experience and how our experience is different. And it is a journey. I'm learning every day. I've learned over my time at the YW. But I know, as my role as the CEO, that part of my learning is then also taking that and becoming a teacher to share with others.
With that, it's just beautiful to hear you speak the message that you have, and it's inspiring to see all of the different ways that not only are you trying to bring the conversation into the forefront for your immediate group, but to the future of, the children and all the different verticals that you have launched. And I'd love for you to tell everyone how they too can be a part of this conversation, or where can we see this information? Is it on your website?
So if you go to our website, there is an entire page on our racial justice, social justice work. And so not only have we highlighted these conversations that we have been doing free on Facebook, through Facebook Live, through our YWTV platform that we launched, over this time that we've been social distancing. But so there's an opportunity to see some of these individual programs that we had done. There's also a whole resource page, because part of educating yourself is doing some reading, doing some watching, being part of, reading, hearing some TED Talks, going down the path of expanding your knowledge on this area. So all of those resources are available there. And there's plenty more upcoming. In the next week, actually, we're hosting an event where we'll be sharing some of the youth in our community, talking about racism and how it's impacted them, and sharing works of art that they've created, whether it's poetry or drawings, visual art pieces, because it's so important for us, not only as adults, to be in this space, but to make sure that our young people are being held and supported as they're having, this experience. And also, as our very young children are growing, hopefully to raise them as anti-racists. So, our children don't have to, be experiencing what we're seeing now. We also, in 2 weeks, will be having a town hall. I'm very happy and excited that we'll be bringing together some amazing leaders across our state, coming together and talking about systemic racism and all the places that it exists. I know right now there's a real focus on law enforcement, which is absolutely, one of the areas where we want to see some changes. But the reality of it is, in our school systems, in our child protective service systems, in our judiciary, systemic racism exists everywhere. And we have to keep a focus on that so that we can really break it down.
Well, I mean, not only is it clear that you helped lead and make the YWCA survive, but you are going to make it thrive in the future. And you are a huge asset to the organization and to the state of New Jersey as a whole. I'm going to shift a little bit to a little lighter of question, knowing that all of us had to make a lot of changes over the last couple months in isolation. So I want to ask you with our last question, is there anything surprising that you missed from the office?
Well, I don't know that I actually missed anything from my office because of my job, I've always kind of had my office be in my car because I'm always going from place to place and being part of the community. I think what I actually missed was my car, is what I learned, because my drive from my home life, I'm a mom of 7-year-old twins. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter who's caring for her mom. Also, so, leaving my life at home and going to my work life as CEO, there's a process that I realized happens for me in my car, that when I step into it, I almost step, out of one role and into the other role. And that moment that I'm driving from point A to point B allows me to just go into a different headspace and leave some of the baggage from home in the car before I go to work, and vice versa, leave my work baggage in the car before I step back into my home life. So I really missed my car is what I learned during
the transformational vehicle. And as any mom understands, any working mom, that you do have to jump into a different role if you're going to go from home life to the professional world. So I can completely empathize with you. And I miss my car too. There's a lot of thinking that goes on in there.
It is. It's a magical place. You don't even realize it,
So take it for granted.
It's funny.
Well, we can't thank you enough for making the time to talk to all of us today. We are so honored to have you as a top 25 leading women. We can't wait to showcase you and celebrate you on October 8th. And know that Leading Women and our organization is here to help your cause in whatever way that we can. And I'm grateful to be a part of the conversation. So congratulations again, Helen.
Thank you so much. Grateful. Bye-bye.
Bye now.